Hello, everybody. This is Steph Sainamond, and I am so grateful to be coming to you. I'm going to try to make sure I'm talking to the right place here. So we're just coming to you to talk a little bit about an introduction. I want to talk to, you know what? I haven't really ever done this. I've done so many other things.
So this is an
So
exploration.
this is an exploration, and I'm so excited to just be in this place of support and for Maria. Maria comes to us as a coach for grief and mourning, and she has a program that is about to launch here on Monday. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone from Wake Up Rev staff and Wake Up Say Thank You has the opportunity to learn about this program, because I think it's really valuable, important work being done in the world. And I know that as I do radical forgiveness work, I feel that there's a lot of threads that weave into the grieving and the mourning process that has a lot to do with forgiveness work. And so I know that I was really intrigued about what it is you do. So I'd love to hear more about that. And so, yeah, share a little bit about who you are and what led you to being a coach in this kind of this way of being.
Sure. I'd be happy to. First of all, thank you so much for having me here, because I've been watching you for a long time, and you start my mornings just so beautifully and brilliantly. And with the work that I do in grief and mourning, it's really important for me to get my head in the game and my heart in the right to do this work. So thank you for what you do to help me do what I do. So I'm Maria Kliavkoff, and my background is very interesting because I'm a master's degree student in theater directing. And what I used to like to say is, so I became a founding executive director of a hospice society, because who would do that but a theater person? You know, there's no qualification for people who can do this work. Well, the phrase that I love is, God doesn't call the qualified, God qualifies the call, right? So I heard the call, and the call was real simple. I broke my foot when I was out in Radium. I was teaching at Mount Royal in Calgary, and I was in my second home here in Radium, and I broke my foot, and all of my speaking engagements and all of my teaching had to disappear because I was stuck here. And while I was stuck here, I had this real clarity around hospice, and that's what I was supposed to do. And there's a whole nother story around that and how that came to be. But the reality was, when you say yes to a call like that, boom, everything kind of literally falls at your feet. And so here I am with my being looked at by a doctor. And I said to the doctor, is there a need for hospice around here? Like, is there a hospice already? Is there a place that I can volunteer? And he said, no, it's very much needed, and I'm thinking you're the one. And it's funny you should be asking me, because I'm the newly named chief of staff. So I'm saying we'd be 100% behind you. So everything fell into order. And for my 7 years of doing that, I learned an awful lot. But most of all, I got my Death and Grief Studies certificate with Dr. Alan Wilfelt, who's a North American expert in grief at the Center for Loss and Life Transition down in Colorado. And he changed my life, you know, taking all of those courses, getting the certificate, understanding how in North America, we really do not understand the grief process. We avoid the grief process, but we don't understand the grief process. And we use the terms grief and mourning interchangeably. We say someone's grieving or someone's mourning, and we don't understand that those are two completely different terms that mean two different things, and that it is possible to grieve without mourning. It's not possible to mourn without grieving, and that we're going to successfully go through the grief process, and it is a process, then we're going to have to mourn, and we're going to have how to do that. So I created a program called the Healthy Mourning Revolution, because I want to teach people the difference, and I want to teach people how to embrace their grief journey, because it's a beautiful journey when we don't fight it and when we don't avoid it.
Beautiful. Yes, it really is a beautiful process when you become a part of it and become a part of the process. Beautiful. So you have a program that is launching on Monday, April 20th. That's very exciting.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what the program is and what people can expect.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a 9-day program and it is absolutely free. It's a live launch. And the whole point of this is to get this information out right here, right now, because we need it never more than right now. Because we're in a grief pandemic and we're just starting. That's going to last for a long time, unfortunately, with everything that's happening in the world right now. And so the launch is happening in my Facebook group. And so the Facebook group is Healthy Mourning Revolution. And it's a closed group. So you can go to Healthy Mourning Revolution and then just join the group. And then you can access and register for the launch there. When you register for the launch, you get a workbook. So the workbook helps you to go through every day's Facebook Live. It's a 1-hour Facebook Live every day. It happens at 12:30 Pacific time, 1:30 Mountain, 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern, and 8:30 Greenwich Mean Time. And we have people in Europe who are attending as well and who are in the group. So we needed to be mindful of everybody's time.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it at that time to make it as convenient for as many as possible. If you can't catch it live, that's okay. It'll be replayed. The video will be available in the Facebook group for the duration of the 9 days of the launch. And it's a progression. So we go from day 1 to day 2 to day 3. There's a little bit of homework. It's nothing that is overwhelming because people who are grieving, they can't take overwhelming. None of us want to be overwhelmed. And most of us are feeling overwhelmed right now anyway. The purpose of the homework we're going to be doing is just to make sure that the information that started here drops the longest 18 inches in the world and gets to the heart, so that the process to get there. But it's very elegant and it's very gentle and easy. And if there's anything coming up, we have concierges, and every person who registers to be part of the launch is actually partnered with a concierge. And they get the welcome letter from us, and then right on the heels of that, they get the welcome letter from their concierge so that they know who it is in the group and they can connect and they can go through it with an amazing amount of ease and grace.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. I love this concept of the concierge and just having someone who you can reach out to and feel that support. That's a beautiful concept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and as I was training the concierges, because they've all been trained to do this, I was training the concierges, and my assistant Donna, who is just really brilliant at getting concepts, she said so clearly, when we think of a concierge is somebody who welcomes you in the door, tells you how to get to where you're wanting to go, and then if you've got baggage and you're not wanting to carry it, then maybe we suggest that the bellman can take it up, but it's not the concierge's job to either pick up the luggage or to unpack the luggage. And I thought that's such a beautiful image for what a concierge is and why we're calling them concierges, because they're welcome you in and to support you in getting to where you need to be and getting everything that you're carrying with you to where it needs to be, and freeing you up knowing that you know what you need way more than we do. And what I love about this is teaching you the basics of grief and mourning, and then either you can run with it or you can continue to work with us and the program. But really, this is about getting the fundamental information out there so that everybody begins to go a little gently with not only with their own grief and mourning, but also with, we know people who have lost loved ones, and I'm all compassionate communities. I really think if we're going to truly become compassionate communities worldwide, it's going to be in part because we learn how to walk with somebody who's grieving, even if we're not grieving. And because we're a society that tends to avoid our grief, that means we've buried and carried it. And so when somebody that we know and that we love has lost a loved one and they're grieving, their sadness is going to bring up all of the stuff that we didn't deal with, that we buried and carried. And then they become threatening to us because we don't know how to deal with that. So in the launch, what we do, I think it's day 2, I'm trying to remember. No, day 2 is Myths of Grief. It's actually towards the tail end of day 1. We talk about buried and carried grief and the dangers of buried and and how to do catch-up mourning if you find that you have been burying and carrying grief.
That's wonderful. Yeah, like being able to play catch up and just getting to that place. Wow. Yeah, I think I think this launch is for everyone. I mean, whether you're in the present, feeling grief, or like you just said, if you're carrying it forward. And sometimes, you know, in the radical forgiveness work, we aren't even aware that there's something to forgive. There could be something within us we're not even aware that we're mourning or that we need to mourn.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have no idea of the grief that's buried inside of us. And living in North America, we can't not. You know, we've been taught to do this. We've been taught buck up messages, move on messages. Mm-hmm. We've been taught that time heals this wound, and that's a myth. Time doesn't heal the wound of grief. Grief gets buried and carried. My mentor, Alan Wofelt, one of my favorite quotes of his is that grief awaits welcome. It doesn't await time. And what's beautiful for me about that is everybody's talking about right now what it's like to be in this isolation and to be in this quiet time, and people are getting very restless and they're being overwhelmed with emotions and they don't know where the emotions are coming from. And yet what we who are in the grief industry, those of us who are leaders in the grief industry, and we never call ourselves experts because we recognize that the person who's grieving is the expert in their grief. Leaders in the grief community, what we know to be true is that this quiet, this forced isolation is actually bringing us to a quiet place where our insides recognize this as welcome. Mm-hmm. Dr. Wofelt says grief awaits welcome. This time of we're not so busy anymore. Busy is the way that we cover our grief. Busy is the way that we bury and carry it. It's one of the grief avoidant patterns. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I've even recalled myself saying a few weeks ago, if I was creating so much busyness in my life, I literally said, I fear stopping, because if I stop, I'm going to break. And we get to those places and we busy ourselves up and we just, you know, add more and more stuff to our bags and we carry it around. And so I'm so grateful that that you have found me in this experience. I treasure your little face bubble on Wake Up Say Thank You every when you're watching, and I'm just so grateful for this connection. And from here, I'll make sure that the links are all set with this video. We'll post the links for everything to the group and to the registration page, anything else it needs. And I think I'm going to go sign up for that launch, because I really resonate that there's something in it, or it wouldn't be here for me, right?
Yeah. So. And that's exactly what I say. You know, the way we honor our grief is we check inside and we see if it's true. And if there's a yes that's going on in there, we don't need to question why the yes. We just get to go, okay, then that's what's for me to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's lovely to have you in the group. I'd love to have you there. That would be wonderful.
Yes, it is welcome here.
Yeah. Beautiful. And if anybody has any problem with, you know, clicking on a link, or they are not in a device where they can do that, they can also just go to healthymourning.com, and there's a link right there to the launch.
Perfect. healthymourning.com. Perfect. Thank you so much for this little impromptu interview about your program. I'm so excited to share it with everyone on Wake Up with Rev Steph.
Oh, thank you, Rev Steph. I so appreciate it. And like I said, I couldn't do what I do without the inspiration you give me every morning. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.